preparing a print for the Sydney Printmakers upcoming exhibition at the Lane Cove Gallery. The theme that the group have set is In the Shade. I'm interpreting that theme as the animals who have lost their habitat during the bushfires, and so I'd like to just talk to you about what I'm doing. I've decided to do a dry point etching for this particular technique, and as you can see, I've done two states of this plate. This first state was this one here, which has less detail in it, and then I reworked the plate, and this is my second state with more detail and more elaboration on the shade on the animals. This animal here represents the snow leopard, which is one of the animals that are starting to become extinct. And here you've got the birds and like a little fox. Or these are my own ideas about the animals, okay, my own interpretation. So as you can see, as a printmaker, it's good to do 2 states or 3 states of the particular plate until you're quite happy with it. So what I've done here is I've reworked the plate. I've used a point and I've scratched into the plate to create much darker tones. I really wanted this print to look quite strong and dark, to emphasize the shade and the light here, which I have. These are like 2 dualities, the light and the shade. So that's what I'm working on. I haven't printed the 3rd state yet, but I'm going to print it today. Okay, now I would like to talk about the paper that I'm printing on and how I've prepared that paper. So I've chosen BFK Reeves to work on. It's 250 grams. Whenever I'm printing work for an exhibition, I always print with BFK Reeves because it's a very reliable paper. Now what I've done here, I've actually soaked this paper overnight. So I've dipped it in the water and then I've taken it out and I've put it under cover with plastic. This is my dampened paper and it's been overnight sitting, and it's just beautifully dampened, regular moisture right through the paper. This has been undercover with, as you can see, weights sitting on top. These are my weights. Okay, so I'll just talk about the ink that I'm going to use. I've chosen the Charbonnel Noir 55985. This one here is a lovely thick ink, which is good for dry points. I'm not going to add hardly any oil to this. Straight out of the tin, I'm going to just use 2 drops of oil, maybe just 2. I'm applying the ink with a little homemade dolly. Now the first time you print a dry point, it's going to absorb much more ink than you would if you were printing it many times as an addition. Always observe OH&S and use gloves. In this section here, which is quite dark, I'm really focusing now on the light areas that I want to highlight. So very slowly picking out areas that don't have so much line. Now I'm slowly removing the excess ink from the plate, from the areas that I see as coming up as white, areas that don't have an image. And it's interesting for me to see how much ink is coming off the areas that I've scratched and how much is staying within that section. So to me it's a mystery. So I suppose there are 3 stages to the wiping. One is the initial removal of excess ink, and the second one is starting to pick out your whites and focus on them, and the third one is just highlighting and buffing your whites. Okay, I'm ready to take my gloves off now because I don't want to handle my paper with dirty hands and I don't want to handle my blankets with dirty hands. These get removed and either recycled or put aside. So the plate gets placed down where I've lined out that area. So now I'm going to bring the paper to the press. Before that, I'm just going to blot it a little bit with some blotting paper, just to take that excess water off. My hands are fairly clean because I've only just printed one, but I'm going to use these little things to handle my paper. I'm just looking for the watermark, and I want to make sure that when I print it, that you can read the watermark. Butcher's paper and the blankets. I'm going to unveil the print now, and it's actually not as dark as I thought it would print as, so that's interesting. So perhaps the next one I might just leave a little bit more ink on the surface, but I'm very happy. If you put it up here, I like these beautiful velvety blacks here. I probably would like a little bit more black sprinkled through here, just to bring the blacks up a little bit more. So I probably will rework this plate a little, but with my point, but very little. There's no recipe to a successful print. The print work, it's a process of working through the plate, working out ideas on the plate, and how the plate actually talks to you. So when I print this, I might print it in a burnt sienna or in a blue. I might make it even a darker blue. This is more of a Prussian blue. This is more of a cyan blue with black. So I might find a perfect balance between them all. And that's when I print it. I'll print the one that speaks to me. The title I've chosen for this print is Seeking Habitat. So it's about animals being displaced with the fires and the floods and all the things that are happening in the world. It's a sort of unification of transition. It's not about what animal is it, you know, or why is that animal there. It's about the whole harmony of them seeking a habitat in the chaotic situation we're in the world. Now I'm going to repeat it. So this is what printmaking is about. It's about printing and repeating in different, I might choose to do an edition of this, and if I'm happy with that image, I will print an edition maybe of 8, maybe 10, depending on how the plate is standing up to the pressure of the press.